Welcome to Diversity Xtra with your host, Don McKneely.
And hello, everybody. This is Don McKneely, and thanks for joining us here on Diversity Xtra, where we tell your story. Our guest today is Nina Vaca, and Nina is the chairman and CEO of Pinnacle Group, the fastest growing woman-owned company in the country. Nina, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Don.
Before we get started, I want to share a little background about Nina. In 2017, NMS DC, which is the National Minority Supplier Development Council, named Pinnacle National Supplier of the Year. And the Women's Business Enterprise Council, National Council, named Nina as a Woman of Distinction, which is an exclusive group of 25 trailblazers committed to breaking down barriers for women-owned businesses. Nina is also one of the few Latinas in the nation serving on corporate boards. In addition to her business leadership, Nina is a dedicated civic leader, philanthropist, working relentlessly to expand opportunities for women entrepreneurs, minorities, and especially in the STEM fields. In 2016, Nina was selected as a Henry Crown Fellow at the Aspen Institute, and in 2014, she was appointed by the White House as a presidential ambassador for global entrepreneurship. In that capacity, she traveled around the world inspiring entrepreneurs in places such as Ghana, Jordan, Bahrain, Vietnam, and of course, her home country of Ecuador. Most recently, Nina was elected as a lifetime member of the Council on Foreign Relations and named by Fortune magazine as one of the 50 most powerful Latinas in America. Nina, thanks again for coming.
It's my pleasure, Don. So delighted to be here.
Nina, as we get started, let's talk a bit about your early background before you became the success that you are today. Let's talk about that journey a little bit, can we?
Sure. My journey actually started before I was born. I'm the daughter of two immigrants that came to this country in pursuit of the American dream, and they found it through entrepreneurship and civic leadership. I left my family after I graduated from college, and I moved to New York City to pursue a career in information technology because I knew it would be that rocket ship. And believe it or not, I missed my family, so I moved back to Texas. And that experience was what kind of propelled me, like many women, to start Pinnacle Group, what is today Pinnacle Group. Like many women, I started my business in an effort to just pave the way for a brighter future for my family. Who would have dreamed that 23 years later, my family would encompass hundreds and even thousands of people today? But that's how I started the business. That was the reason why I decided to start the business. And it has been an incredible journey along the way. In many ways, I started Pinnacle. I was young and single. I was 25 years old. I started with $300 and out of my living room floor. And our first couple of years on that journey were quite frankly amazing. It was the height of the dot-com era. It was 1996. Technology and companies were thirsty for technology. Things were going great. But, as we've all learned, that some days you wake up and your life changes. And so in 2001, I woke up and the 9/11 attacks changed our company. We were devastated. By that time, I had recruited a lot of family to come and join the business, and I had already given birth to 2 daughters. And so in 2001, we found ourselves with a liquidation plan in place. And it was probably a very challenging moment. Not probably, it was one of the most challenging moments we've ever had. It was the time in our company where it was an all hands on deck, because the same values that exist today with Pinnacle were the values that we had back then. The value of hard work, the value of perseverance, and the value of failure is just not an option. And so we took what was a liquidation plan, what was, clouds and stormy days and challenging moments, and we turned them into opportunity. And so we were blessed to be in the right ecosystem and find the right mentors. And ever since then, we have built the company now to be the powerhouse that it is today. Today, Pinnacle in the last 13 years has been profiled by Inc. magazine for 13 years as one of the fastest growing companies in America. We're one of 7 companies in the history of that record to be able to do so. And of course, my favorite, not once but twice, Pinnacle today is the fastest growing women-owned business in America.
Well, congratulations, well deserved. And, as you talk about your business and the experience, you think about mentors. And have you had many mentors during your developmental periods of your business?
In 23 years, I've had countless mentors. And not only have I had mentors, but I have had sponsors, not just in my business life, but in my career as an individual. And, mentors are people that will give you great advice and that will help you along the way. Sponsors are people who are willing to put their personal, political, and social capital and make sure you succeed or make sure doors of opportunity are wide open for you. And I've been blessed to have countless mentors. Mentors come in all shapes and sizes and all ages and ranges and experiences. They could be family, they could be, my mother is a big mentor, but I've had countless of other business mentors that have opened doors of opportunity for me, too many to name. In fact, I personally think mentors are not always people that are speaking to you. Sometimes they're people that you're watching, people that inspire you. And in that realm of people, I would count you, Dawn.
Thank you.
I have watched you for the last 2 decades of my life. Dedicate your life to the advancement of other people. Dedicate your life to telling these powerful stories. And that has been inspirational to me. Listening to those stories and learning from the stories and the people that you have profiled has been an inspiration for me. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Nina. I'm certainly honored and certainly appreciate that. And we will continue to see if we can do it more better, as the saying goes. So as you talk about sponsors, in terms of trying to identify sponsors or trying to establish a relationship or a position to get sponsors and support, how difficult is that? What might be some of the ways that one would go about trying to identify a sponsor that could champion, their particular causes?
Well, I believe that one should become a magnet to sponsors. I have asked less people to be my mentor than people asking me, you know what, I want to help you. And the way that I've done it is 2 ways. Number one is just being really good at what you do. Become so good, become crazy good at what you do, because everybody wants to run with the winter, and you have to be able to show potential. But the other, and perhaps the most important thing, is not just being good at your job, but wanting the genuine ability to help other people and to pass it forward. And that makes you a magnet. Statistically, my life on paper would never be possible. And so it's the gratitude of who we have become and the desire to genuinely want to open doors for other people has attracted a lot of my mentors and my sponsors, because they know that I am going to parlay that success, whatever it might be, whether it be a piece of business or whether it be a role in the community, into goodness for more people than just myself.
Let me take another street here, if I might. In terms of organizations, I know over the years you've been involved with many, many different organizations. How important are organizations in terms of building a business and networking and what have you? As we, think about, for instance, the chambers of commerce, or we think about the minority business development councils, how strategic and important has NMSDC or WeBank been to your business?
I would say monumentally important. I have had the pleasure of being involved at a local level, to all the organizations you've named. the Hispanic Chambers of Commerce locally and nationally, WeBank locally and nationally with the Women's Business Council Southwest, NMSDC locally and nationally with the DFW Minority Council, and I can tell you unequivocally, all of them have played an incredible role in who I am today. The local Hispanic Chamber has always, and the national, has always been more about service to me. It's taught me leadership and service. WeBank and NMSDC at a local level, the Women's Business Council Southwest really connected me and Pinnacle with procurement officers. And that is their mission, is to connect women-owned businesses with the procurement supply chain, and they did just that. DFW, Minority Supplier Development Council, has been an incredible, has taken a political place in Pinnacle history today, because while today we're proud that we are the winner of over 250 local and national awards, including being inducted into the Hall of Fame, including the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award, our very first award was the E Award from our local council. So all of these organizations have given something to us in different ways, and they've all served as an opportunity to give us not just information but inspiration, and give me access to the networking that happens when you join these great organizations. I'm proud to serve today as Women of Distinction with WeBank, and now giving back to other women-owned businesses and opening doors.
As you talk about the councils, and as we talk about chambers, and particularly the councils, WeBank and NMSDC, and being certified, how difficult is that certification process to become certified as a minority or woman-owned business?
Well, it is a very rigorous process, I will tell you, and I'm glad that it is, because it really weeds out and it certifies true minority and women-owned business, which means not only does the woman or the minority have to have ownership stake, but they have to have control, and they have to actively be engaged in the business. And so I'm glad that they're rigorous processes, and I'm glad that they have provided an opportunity for us to become a certified women and minority-owned, Hispanic-owned business.
As you as we talk about the councils and minority business, what are some of the challenges that you see that minority and women-owned businesses face today?
How much time do we have, Don?
Well, we've got a few minutes, but I guess they're numerous, I would imagine.
Oh yes, I can tell you unequivocally, it took us 23 years to become an overnight sensation, and so I have a lot of experience on the challenges of starting, growing, and scaling a minority-owned business. And in fact, that's my answer. There are a tremendous amount of challenges today of being a minority-owned business, but there's also a tremendous amount of opportunities. So I always look at the glass half full, never half empty. And it really depends on the size of your business. For example, minority-owned businesses today are starting at a faster rate than any small business in America. They are indeed fueling the economy. Women-owned businesses are even leading the way. So there's a lot of minority and women-owned businesses starting by the thousands, and today in America there are millions of them. Their biggest challenge is scale. Their biggest challenge is access to capital. And so there's that piece. And then once you grow until a more mature company, maybe a local company, a national company, your challenges are not the same, but they're still challenges. And I would take Pinnacle as an argument. We have grown from our living room floor to be now a national and even a global company. And the challenge for us is even greater. I wouldn't say greater, but I would say equivalent to the challenges we had when we were young and just starting out. The difference is they're different challenges. And there is a challenge in corporations or people thinking, oh, they're large, they've made it. The reality is, when you ascend to a place where there are very few of you, the challenges are even greater. You have more risks, you're larger. The challenges and the obstacles, we're competing against publicly traded companies, oftentimes who have very large P&Ls, very large cash, lots of management teams. And so the challenges are the same, but they're different. And so in many ways, as Pinnacle has grown and prospered, our challenges have remained the same. They're just different.
Well, in terms of minority businesses in today's climate and staying relevant, what might be a recommendation that you would suggest to the audience and to minority-owned businesses to stay relevant in today's marketplace and climate?
Well, you've brought up a very real example of the environment today. If you look around, there's a tremendous amount of consolidation in our country with corporations. We have shifted, as you've seen, from a country that's heavy in industrialization and now more service-oriented, technology-driven. And so in order to stay relevant, you must be innovative. You must not be afraid to innovate. You must not be afraid to adapt to technology. You must not be afraid to do things differently. And that's exactly what Pinnacle has done, is we have differentiated ourselves by using technology and innovation to transform ourselves and compete with what now we call the mid-market. We are no longer a staffing company. While we started off as an IT niche company, staffing company, we're no longer a staffing company. We're a technology company, and we're addressing the IT talent gap in workforce management via technology.
Let's talk about global opportunity, if you will. And you've had a lot of success doing your journey with international relations as a part of your career. What were some of the things that you learned from your international leadership opportunities?
Oh, wow. My international experience began 15 years ago. As a, I can't believe it's been that long, actually. I became a British American Fellow in 2004 or 2005. I became a Memorial Marshall Fellow. As a diplomat, I basically represented the United States abroad in 5 different European countries. There are a few things that are more moving to me than being a Latina and representing the United States abroad in 5 different European countries. And then it expanded again in 2004 when President Obama named me proudly a Page Ambassador. And I got the opportunity to be named a Page Ambassador along with Tory Burch and Damon John and Steve Case, and really travel the world talking about the power of entrepreneurship and how entrepreneurship really changes lives. It's been one of the most fulfilling things I've ever done. And it's been ongoing. In 2016, I became a Henry Crown Fellow with the Aspen Institute, and it allowed me to, again, reach across to my home country of Ecuador and build 40 homes as my project for the victims of the earthquake that happened in 2016 in my home country of Ecuador. And then last but not least, just recently, being elected and admitted into the CFR has been but an honor for me. The Council on Foreign Relations is an incredibly respected organization and one I'm super proud to be part of. But all of those collectively, all of those international experiences collectively have taught me that giving back is such an amazing thing to do, and doing good while doing well can be so rewarding. So I really don't just believe in the American dream and attaining it through entrepreneurship. I've seen firsthand that when you help an entrepreneur, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes you help a family. And when you empower and help a family, you help a community. And when you help a community, then you really help a nation. And I'm just proud and privileged to be able to be part of that ecosystem.
We talked just a bit ago about the Minority Supply Development Councils and Women's Business Development Councils. Many corporations have supplier diversity programs now. And how helpful do the supplier diversity programs seem to be to a company starting their business or a company that's established? Can you tell us from your perspective about supplier diversity and how that's helped Pinnacle grow?
Oh, sure. So supplier diversity programs vary from corporation to corporation. Some are more mature than others. Some have a lot more power and influence within their corporation than others. And so not all supplier diversity programs are the same, but they can all be tremendously helpful because supplier diversity can serve as a great connector with procurement. The way that we grow our business, our customer is the supply chain, is the procurement chain. And so understanding who they are, understanding how they work, and understanding how we can connect with them is paramount to our business. Supplier diversity is that connection. Supplier diversity is that connection for us.
Let me ask you this, Nina. If you were just starting out with all the knowledge and experience that you've had and the success that you've managed over the years, if you were just starting your business, what maybe would be 1, 2, or 3 things that you would recommend or that you would do?
If I was just starting my business, first of all, I would assume that I had identified something in the marketplace that provides value, something that the marketplace needs. A good entrepreneur identifies a need in the marketplace and then fills it. So I'm going to assume that you have done your homework and that you've started a business in the marketplace that needs it. The top 3 things I would do is, number 1, I would absolutely unequivocally surround myself with an incredible ecosystem that wants me to succeed. For us, for Pinnacle, it was the Women's Business Council. It was the DFW Minority Supplier Development Council. That is an organization that gives you access to people who have climbed the mountain before. I have lost count of the many women-owned businesses or minority-owned businesses that I've looked up to throughout the years and said, if they can do it, so can I. And that's really powerful, to surround yourself with the right ecosystem, because as an entrepreneur, your time is your most valuable commodity. Why are you not going to spend the time with people that want to see you succeed? So that's outwardly facing. Inwardly facing, number 1, confidence in yourself. I believe that your own perspective of yourself is directly related to who you will become. When I became certified by the Women's Business Council Southwest and WeBank, I realized that I am not alone. I wasn't just a young girl in technology trying to start a business. I was part of something so much larger than myself. I was a woman-owned, women-led business. I was part of a tsunami of a movement that's happening in our country. And so the way that you perceive yourself is directly related to who I will become. And so we started looking at ourselves as something much more than just a startup. We started looking at ourselves as part of the economic engine of this country. And then the third thing is, again, internally facing, is who you surround yourself with in your business, right? As leaders and as CEOs, we're led to believe that we have to have all the answers and we have to be the smartest person in the room. And nothing can be further than the truth. Having self-confidence to say, I'm going to surround myself with people that are smarter than I am. I'm going to be a good listener and a good leader. And I'm going to allow other people the opportunity to spread their wing and bring their talents. I'm going to paint a picture larger than myself. That's when you know you're cooking with gas. And so for me, those 3 things that involve not just inward facing, looking at yourself, but outward facing as well, have played a role in the success of our company.
You mentioned the tsunami of women-owned business and how that's growing. How has that changed, and what do you think manifested this new movement, this new tsunami, this new change in women-owned business? Any thoughts around that?
Well, the movement towards the advancement in women is not actually not new. It's been happening for decades now, ever since women earned the right to vote or had the opportunity to vote. And so this is a movement that's been happening in our country slowly and stealthily, And it's just getting louder. As women have propelled into leadership roles in our country, not just in the business world, but in the nonprofit, in the legislature, and others, the movement has become louder and louder and louder, and it's probably at the height of its loudness today. And so I personally believe that the best is yet to come. I believe that when women rise to the occasion of leadership, whether it be in business, in their entrepreneurial careers, in corporate America, in the legislature, or in the corporate boardrooms, I believe they don't just bring their gender, but they bring their personal experiences. And those personal experiences, now there's actually data, right, that will tell you that when a woman is involved in a leadership role, you're just getting better business results. There's a Gallup study, there's a McKinsey study that will tell you that corporations that have women on their board, they just financially, statistically, have done better. It's a great balance if you couple that with the fact that women, the realization that women are responsible for 85% of the purchasing decisions, 85% of the purchasing decisions in their home. That is incredibly powerful. So to answer your question specifically, you're saying, why is this movement louder, or why has it propelled? It's actually been, I believe, because now you have a study. It takes a generation to do a study. But once you have the study that gives you the facts that women-owned businesses are growing faster than any segment, that women are making 85% of the purchasing decisions, that more women are graduating from law school and college than men, then women are propelling. When you get the study that just proves what's factually happening in our country, that's what makes the movement louder.
We seem to see more women now being invited to serve on boards. I know that you serve on boards. Do we see a wave with that beginning to grow? More women on boards and more women representing, corporations at the highest level there.
Well, I like to believe that I'm part of that change. I'm proud to be, in my personal career, Dawn, I've been the youngest, I've been the first, but never the only. And I think if all women had that mentality that it is our duty to do good while we're doing well, and it is our duty to open the doors of opportunity for others to follow, we will find ourselves, and that there's a lot of power in not being the only. I think that our movement will grow. I'm proud to be the first board member on a publicly traded company of Cinemark, but today, 4 years later, there are 3 of us. And so I will not take the credit by any stretch of the imagination, but having a voice at the table is incredibly powerful. And I have had the privilege of having a voice at the table to elect a female CEO of a Fortune 500 company, to elect additional directors of a publicly traded company, to nominate more German Marshall Fellows and more British American Fellows, to bring in more women. I think if we all do our part, we will all prosper together.
Let's talk just a minute about Pinnacle and in terms of where you are, but let's talk about where you're going. I know there's some conversation. You're looking at doing more things globally. How's that coming along for you?
I'm going to give you a long answer because it's not enough to talk about where you're going. You have to talk about where you've been. And like I always like to say, it took us 23 years to become an overnight sensation. And our journey has been peppered with defining moments, but not all defining moments are positive. They're challenges that become defining moments. You know that old saying, falling down is part of the journey, getting up is living. And I really believe that. For Pinnacle, we've had so many defining moments. So I'm going to go through those and then tell you where we're headed, because it's important to know where we've been. From starting the company, things were going fantastic until 2001. 2001 was a defining moment for us. It was a moment of all hands on deck. It was a moment of almost not making payroll. It was a moment of holding our breath and thinking, how in the world are we going to make it to tomorrow? Not next week, tomorrow. That fueled us, and the values that we hold so dearly today, the value of perseverance, hard work, and this absolute notion of failure is not an option. The value of binding together and everybody doing their part led us out of that moment into a beautiful defining moment that was when Verizon gave us our first $1 million opportunity to provide them fixed price deliverable based IT solutions way back then in 2002. They were our first customer in our SOW space, and that was a defining moment for us because we began by responding to 40-something RFPs, and I think we won one, maybe two at the most, but it gave us something to start on. And that was an incredible defining moment for us because if we could do business with one Fortune 500 company, then we could recruit more. And that beautiful moment may have given us that leg up and that renaissance that Pinnacle needed, and we will hold them in our hearts. And by the way, they're still a customer today. Was followed by a challenging moment because at the same time, a CIO came in 2005 and outsourced everything to India. So a beautiful moment is followed by a challenging moment. So I feel like at Pinnacle, beautiful moments have happened every 6 years. So from 2001 came 2007. 2007, we won our first EDS contract. We were a $40 million company at the time. We got a $160 million contract. It was our proverbial whale. It was our first shot at serving an integrator. It took us from 5 different states in the United States to 45 states in the United States. I mean, to say it was a whale, it was a humongous opportunity for us in 2007. We just joined the MSP space. And so for us, that was a beautiful defining moment. We're eating the whale. We're working so hard. We're all cheering. It was like winning a Super Bowl for us. Now going into 45 states in the United States, we were at an all-time high. And then 3 years later, we opened our eyes and woke up one day, and EDS sold to Hewlett-Packard, and they took away the MSP program. So I feel like a defining moment is always followed by that challenge, that humbling experience of what are you going to do now? You know, and it's not what happens to you, but it's how you react. And so we just kept our head down. So 2007, 6 years later, again exactly to the day, is 2013. We were awarded the co-management of the MSP program for all of Comcast and all its information technology. What a gorgeous, beautiful, defining moment. If you'll recall, we were on the cover of your magazine. It was one of the height of our career, just solidifying our role in the marketplace. But it was followed by, in 2014, we bought a software company, and we're trying to do a lot of things. And it turns out that software in the VMS space was not our neck of the woods. It wasn't our strategic role. And so with that, we started getting our global experience, though. And then 6 years later, from 2013 to 2019, I would argue that we are, and now I'll finally answer your question of where are you going? We're in another defining moment right now, 6 years later in 2019. We've had a customer ask us to expand globally. And we have expanded now in Ireland with an Ireland entity, in the UK this year, and in Latin America. In fact, I was just in Chile last week kicking off our Pinnacle team. And so we are sitting in another defining moment in the company, but I wanted to talk about the challenging moments because if you're an entrepreneur and you're looking and listening at our story, I don't want you to think that it's all about goodness and it's all about wins, that there are some losses in there. But our philosophy in life, again, is that without struggle, there is no progress. And so it's not what happens to you, but it's how you react that defines you as a person and as a company. And so for the entrepreneurs out there that you may feel like you're falling on your face, you may feel like there is no opportunity, I'm here to tell you that it's not what happens to you, but it's how you react. Is look around you, surround yourself with the right people, the right mentors, the right sponsors, the right ecosystems. For us, going global is just a natural defensive move not only are we honored to have a customer take us there and shepherd us there, underscoring the power that corporations can have to make a change in minority-owned businesses, but really about, as you look at the marketplace, all our customers are global. And so if we're not there, if we're not going there first, then we might be left behind. And that's just not going to happen.
Nina, that's certainly fantastic. It's a great story. And for any of our listening audience that would like to reach out to Pinnacle, to do business with Pinnacle, what is the best way for them to reach out and do that? Is there a phone number or a website? What's the best way?
I'm glad you asked. So our website is www.pinnacle1.com. So that's PINNACLE, the number 1.com. And it really brings me to an incredible point that you just sparked in me right now. And that is, when we first got started, and because there's so much consolidation in our country and scale for a small business is somewhat hard, it's not impossible. Go through a tier 1 provider. Whether it's Pinnacle or any other company, we spent 6 years being a tier 2 supplier, hunkering down, learning the business. And so it's okay to go through a Pinnacle. It's okay to go through another tier 1 provider. In fact, in many cases, it can give you a leg up because you're learning the business, you're learning the chemistry of the company and what's important to that company. And so at Pinnacle, we haven't just advocated the use of women and minority-owned businesses. We actually live the value of diversity every day. 63% of our corporate headquarters are women, and they're women in the most prominent roles. They're not just our general counsel, our controller, our chief of staff, our top producers, our head of HR, our head of communications are all women. But they're women in prominent roles. 48% of our corporate headquarters are minorities. There are 13 countries represented in our corporate headquarters alone. So we live the value of diversity every day. We have our own chief diversity officer. Her name is Jessica Narvaez. Represents us in the ecosystem of NMSDC and WeBank and others. And she tracks our spend with women and minority-owned business. And I'm proud to say that today we spend over $200 million with women and minority-owned businesses of our kind.
Oh, congratulations. That's fantastic. Well, Nina, we're just about out of time and certainly appreciate your time and would love to have you back on the program very soon. Wishing you much continued success on your global expansion, and anytime that we can help promote what you're doing, we'd love to do that. So thank you so much, and we'd like to thank all of our audience for listening in. Be sure and join us next time for Diversity Xtra, where we tell your story.